Hey guys, who's out there? It's 8 o'clock. It's Facebook Live, Couch Time with Kim. Tell me who's there. Speak up. So I am going to talk about narcissists today, and that's a tough topic. It's a tough topic to address from a clinical aspect, and it sure is a tough topic for those of you who are living or have lived with a narcissist. So that's kind of tough. But I was going to start today's Facebook Live with a song about being a narcissist, and I could only think of two. You're So Vain. Y'all have heard that one. And there's that country song about, I want to talk about you usually, but occasionally I want to talk about me. So yeah, so I will not be singing on Facebook Live today. So I do want to talk about narcissists. Let's dive in. There's a lot to cover tonight. I was really worried this was going to end up being a 2-hour Facebook Live and didn't think that would be what you guys would enjoy. So I've really tried to condense it down. There's a lot of meat in this. And it's a big buzzword right now in our society, especially in psychology. Everybody is talking about narcissism and what is a narcissist. And where it gets kind of off is we want to label everyone a narcissist who has outrageous behavior. Unfortunately, that's a lot of people in our world. You know, from the president on down, we see a lot of outrageous kind of behavior, and we just label them a narcissist. And so we're going to talk about what is a narcissist. I'm not going to give you the DSM listing of a narcissist. You guys can Google that, and I think it's kind of heady and not real applicable sometimes. It's easy to kind of miss. So I'm going to give you some more realistic, concrete ways to spot a narcissist that I think will be helpful for you. So some specific behaviors of a narcissist. We're going to talk about what a narcissist is really. I mean, is it a mental health disorder? Is it a personality disorder? Is it somebody who just come from a bad childhood? I mean, what is a narcissist? And can a narcissist change? I get that question all the time. Can a narcissist change? And am I stuck in this relationship? You know, do I have any options here? And so we're going to address that. And how to, if you do decide to stay in a relationship with a narcissist, how can you do that in a way that is healthy for you and maybe even healthy for the narcissist? What attracts you to a narcissist? A lot of people tell me, they'll say, you know, I tend to get in relationship with a narcissist one after another. So I'm not learning my lesson or whatever. You know, what is it about them? What is it about me that makes me attracted to them? So we got several of you watching. I would love to see who's here. If y'all could just say hi and let me know you're there, and I don't feel like I'm just talking into space, that would be great. Don't see anybody yet. So, and then when is it time to go? When is it time to leave? Or is it time to leave? So one of the things that I want to talk about with narcissism is when I put this out there to advertise that we were going to do this today, it was really interesting the replies I got. There's a lot of, like I said, buzz around this, and some people were just really dogmatic, and this is like, you shouldn't be in a relationship with a narcissist. What are you? You're a therapist. Why are you telling us to be in a relationship with a narcissist? I'm not telling anybody to be in a relationship with a narcissist. Hi, Becky. Thanks for saying hi. I'm not telling anybody to be in a relationship with a narcissist, but you've got people in your life who are narcissistic. I guarantee it. So whether it's a family member, whether it's an adult child, whether it's an ex-husband who you are in relationship with, that you're having to co-parent your children with, you can't just blow off narcissists because you think that's the wise and healthy thing to do. There's everybody. Thank you all for saying hello. I'm starting to really think I was out here by myself. Sammy, Bridget, Kathy. Hey, Kathy. Brooke, Devin, Mary. Hey, guys. Thanks for saying hi. It helps to know that there's people out there. And we're talking about narcissism. So let's start with, oh, and I want to tell you guys, I have been doing a lot of research on this. And I've been reading a book by Dr. Craig Malkin called Rethinking Narcissism. I love that book. I think that would be a good investment for you guys if you want to get down into more of the weeds and the details. But I'm going to cover some highlights from his and some of my own observations about a narcissist. So, what is a narcissist? A narcissist is somebody who has an addiction. Basically, it's somebody who has an addiction, and they are addicted to wanting to feel special. They want to feel special, and they want that to the point. I mean, we all want to feel special, right? That's why we have birthday celebrations and wedding celebrations, and we send people cards, and we want people to feel special when we love them, and we want to feel special. And so somebody was telling me every male who has a cold is a narcissist. You've heard about the man cold. And so all of us, when we're sick and we feel bad, we can become way more self-absorbed and narcissistic. And so what I want you to realize about narcissists is that it's not necessarily this scary, really toxic thing. It can be, but narcissism's on a spectrum. And so on this end, let's call this 0, and this end is 10, and 10 being the most narcissistic. When you're in a 9 or a 10, that can be really toxic, and we call those malignant narcissists, and those can be dangerous. Those people are the ones that you really have to watch out for, be safe with, and protect yourself. But there's a healthy level of narcissism too. Narcissists can be some pretty great people. They're the ones that are risk takers, that go out and they take a chance and they say, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to watch and see what happens with it. They are the ones who'll put themselves out here. They'll get on here and do Facebook Live. So I'm admitting I've got some narcissism because I wouldn't be able to do this otherwise. And so if you're in the 4, 5, or 6 range, that they call that a healthy dose of narcissism. And in below that, those are the people who have really low self-esteem, and that's not healthy either. So anywhere you're on the spectrum, if you're not in the middle, if you're on the side of 0 or you're on the side of the 10, neither one of those is healthy. The narcissists get a much worse rap though, because when you're toxic at that level, you're offending other people. You are hurting other people. When you are on this end of the spectrum, you're allowing yourself to be hurt. You are not taking care of yourself. You're not protecting yourself. And so neither one of those is where you want to be. So what I want you to know is that there are certain kinds of behaviors to help you identify a narcissist. But before I do that, a lot more people have joined. So I want to say hi again. There's a lot of people on here tonight. So say hi, say hello, let us know you're out there, because everybody else I don't think can see what I can see. So let them know who's there. Where are you guys from? Is everybody from Dallas? And there's always a delay on this, which is kind of slows things down for me. Tell me where you're from. I'd like to know where everybody's coming from. Let's talk about some good traits of narcissists, because like I said, they get a bad rap. But narcissists, guys, they are charming and witty, driven, go-getters. I mean, they know how to get things done. They have a lot of charisma. They can be very spontaneous and fun. And they can be very generous. And the thing about narcissists is that people think they're selfish and stingy. They can be. But when they feel like it and they want to be, they can be some of the most generous people that you've met. And so those are kind of some positive traits to being a narcissist. For those of you who don't know me, again, I'm Kim Bowen. I am the owner and founder of The Marriage Place in Dallas, Texas. We're a pro-marriage counseling agency. We work with clients all over the world with coaching and counseling. So we love what we do. We love working with clients and helping them improve their marriages. And so today, at the end of this question, you guys start taking some notes. I'll try to answer some questions. So that should be interesting. Get some little excitement going if you want to participate and have some fun. So that would be good. Let's talk about the negative traits of narcissism. Now, you guys have seen some of the more common traits like controlling. That's definitely an option. But narcissists need a lot of attention, and they need a lot of admiration and compliments. And so, like I said, they have an addiction to wanting to feel special. The problem is they aren't very good at returning those, giving those back. Especially at the beginning of a relationship, they can put you on a pedestal, and that can be very intoxicating. That's why we end up in relationships with a narcissist before we realize what we've gotten ourselves into, because they can be so full of adoration, and there's just such a high from that. The problem is they have trouble seeing anybody as good and bad. So you're either all good or all bad. And when you're all good, you're on the pedestal, and when you're all bad, it's a hard fall. So that's a tough roller coaster ride. They don't mind to ask for favors. They'll ask for just about anything. I make a joke to some clients when I'm trying to explain it. A narcissist might ask you for a kidney, but they'll be outraged if you ask them to go to the grocery store and pick up something. So they don't mind to ask for things, but they have a really hard time of giving when it's inconvenient for them. They're easily angered and defensive. If you give them feedback that they don't like or want to hear, they feel attacked and they will attack back. They are very good at minimizing and denying what your experience is, and we call that gaslighting, and can make you feel like you're crazy. So there's even more people on tonight. Hey guys, check in and let us know you're there. And I'd love to see where everybody's from. So I haven't had anybody tell me. I know some of these guys are all from Dallas. Ohio, Maryland, are you seeing it?
Yep.
Oh, you're seeing stuff? See, I'm not seeing it anymore. Oh, there it is, Plano. I actually have to scroll. Ashland, Kentucky, that's where I grew up. Burleson, Texas. Mississippi Gulf Coast. Dallas. Aw. Love bomb. I love that, Wendy. I love that. I just took the hard fall. I'm so sorry. No reciprocity. How do you know if you're a narcissist? I took an online quiz today, but it had questions like, do you think more highly of yourself than others? Yeah, some of those quizzes you have to be really careful of, the online ones in particular. What I love about the book that I referenced earlier, the book is, let me say it again because some of you have just gotten on. It is, where did I write it down? Dr. Craig Malkin, Rethinking Narcissism. He has an assessment in there. What I like about his assessment is he realizes there's a healthy dose of narcissism too. So it's a little bit more balanced. And he could show you where on the scale, like from 0 to 10, that you fall. So if you fall in a 5, that's actually healthy. That's great. If you fall in a 6 or a 7, you're getting up there a little bit. You probably got some edges that make you a little difficult to live with. But if you're getting in the 8, 9, and 10, that's a real problem. And so he gives you a pretty good assessment that I like. So give that one a shot, Nick, and see what you think of that. Hi, Christy. I'm an empath. I attract narcs. Yes. Energy vampires. Can't get the audio. Sorry, Dad. My dad can't get the audio. Does a narcissist know whether they are a narcissist? No, they don't. We'll talk more about that. Let me just jump back in because I want to get back on this because they don't know that they're a narcissist, and they're not going to take it in if you tell them they're a narcissist either. So, all right, so where did we leave off? Easily angered, defensive. They lack empathy, especially for those they love. Now, let me tell you about this. Let me explain this. So a narcissist, especially, I want you to view it like parents. So parents who are raising children, they, how you look makes them, is how they interpret they look. So if you are successful, if the child is performing well in school, if they're not overweight, if they are a star athlete or whatever, the parent gets to feel special. So when a narcissist has a child who isn't performing well in those areas, they'll get angry. And the parent starts to put way more ownership in that than is appropriate. And so I see this like for mothers, when they're having a little bit of too much narcissism, you know, I've seen moms who've been like, I don't know why my daughter wants to wear stuff like that to school, and it just drives me crazy when she's got all these nice clothes. And I'm like, let the kid wear what she wants to wear, whatever she's comfortable with. And guys, you know, women want clothing, appearance, like weight really bothers women a lot. And what I want to say, and achievements. But men really, when they want their sons to be academically strong, usually, and star athletes. And when they're not, the parents are really hard on the kids. They'll say things like, you know, you're going to amount to nothing if you don't get this figured out. Nobody's going to want you. And what are you going to grow up and do with your life? And you're talking, you know, about an 8-year-old kid who's not wanting to play baseball or something. So it's really out of balance and out of proportion. And so if the kid's performing well, the parent adores them. And if they perform poorly, there's contempt and anger. So watch for that. Narcissists are often emotionally abusive, verbally abusive, and that can oftentimes quickly transition into physical abuse. So you have to nip that in the bud. They do what they want when they want. So I have known narcissists in my life, and they will go and buy a car and just come home with a car. They'll come home, buy a dog, not talk to anybody else in the family about it. They will retire or quit a job. They will, and not discuss it. It's not up for discussion. And so they do what they want when they want, and they don't really worry about how it affects others in the family. But they have different rules for everyone else. So it's okay for them to make big purchases and not discuss it, but it's not okay for anyone else. So if you come home with more or less, they'll just have a fit about it. So that's another kind of behavior of a narcissist. They cannot connect emotionally. They think they do, but for a narcissist, compliance equals connection. And that's not connection. So it feels very empty and hollow sometimes. They're pretty lonely people. They just don't know it. And they lack empathy. They have what we call false empathy. Sometimes narcissists are good listeners. I've known therapists who were narcissists. I mean, full-blown narcissists who were therapists, but you didn't know that because they were good listeners. And you can pretend, or you can be a good listener and look empathetic, but that doesn't mean that you actually are. And so it lasts for about as long as a session, if it's a therapist, or until they've just had enough. And then the empathy's gone and they're just put out with you. So they don't want any more of it when it infringes on their time or what they want. So those are just, what do y'all think about that? Do y'all see behaviors like that in narcissists? And this is not an exhaustive list. I could talk about the behaviors of a narcissist all day long. I mean, all day long, but this is just kind of the big ones that I thought would be helpful to you guys that aren't kind of the typical what you know to look for in a narcissist. So yes, Wendy. Yeah, lots of narcissists out there. All right, so how do you deal with a narcissist? I told you I would give you some of those skills tonight. How do you deal with a narcissist? There's two aspects that I want you to think about. One is protection of yourself. You have to protect yourself. And the other one is finding a capacity for love and support. Not all narcissists are hopeless. And so if you're going to be in a relationship with one, how do you do it? How do you do it in a way that you can actually be okay or maybe even thrive? I want to start with protection first. Somebody asked a question. Let me see if I can grab that first. Can you make a marriage last if your spouse is on the higher range and so are your in-laws? Yes, Gina, you can. On a higher range, I'm assuming you mean 7, 8, or 9. Anyone above an 8 is going to be really, really tough. Really tough. And so I'm going to show you in about 10 or 15 minutes when I get to that part about how you can tell if this narcissist can change or not. So there's a pretty good test to put out there to see if there's a way that you can change or if they're willing to change. You poor thing, sending you love and light to Gina. I know it's tough being in a relationship with a narcissist. All right, so the first thing is protection. Guess who narcissists are attracted to them? Guess who they're always go with? When you've got somebody here that's an 8, 9, or 10, guess who they're always with? They're always with a 0, 1, 2, or 3. Why do you think that is? Because there's only room for so much ego in a relationship. And so if you've got two narcissists together who are an 8, 9, or 10, man, you have got fireworks. Oftentimes there's domestic violence and domestic abuse. They're just beating on each other all the time. They're constantly volatile, fighting. I mean, you've seen the couples who are just like, I mean, it's like War of the Roses. Anybody remember that movie? It's just War of the Roses. They're just outlandish, outrageous behaviors in the way that they're treating each other. And so the people who are very low on the scale are often attracted to the people who are very high because they make them feel really special. They balance each other out and not in a healthy way. And so if you really want to get better in a relationship with a narcissist, find out where on that scale you are. And if you're below a 3 or 3 or below, if you're 3 or below, you've got some work to do to build what we call your ego strength. Okay? And what that means is you got to get some confidence and be able to sit in the tension, because right now you're very uncomfortable anytime there's discomfort or uncomfortableness. And so the narcissist's anger and criticism is what keeps you quiet. And until you can build that inner core strength for you, you're kind of stuck. And so you're going to let them get away with some really, really bad behavior. And so that's what I want you to start to think about. That's personal work inside of you. That's not marriage therapy work necessarily. Can be done in that, but it's just you going and building that inner strength inside of you to deal with your narcissist. The second one is know what your limits are. Know what's non-negotiable and what isn't. And so for example, a narcissist who is extremely emotionally abusive, or one who is crazy lying all the time, or out acting sexually, having affairs and just a pathological liar about it, that's non-negotiable. Somebody who's acting out with drinking, drugs, physical violence, non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. You want to walk out. That's not a narcissist you want to try to deal with in that moment, and get yourself safe. Boundaries, Wendy said, or somebody said boundaries. Wendy, yeah, boundaries are your biggest friend. You can't do that though until you build your own strength up. And so that's what we call the inner or the ego strength for you. Build a support system, because you're going to need it. If you're in a relationship with a narcissist, you're probably keeping a lot of secrets because you don't want people to know what you're living with. And they look so great on the outside. And people will have a hard time believing that that's what you're dealing with at home. You need a support system who you can be open with and tell them what you're dealing with. And they can help you realize you're not crazy, because you've got somebody there who's telling you that you're crazy all the time, that you're too sensitive, that you are selfish and you're the one with the problems. You need somebody to help balance that for yourself. And then neutralize, this is a really important one, neutralize the narcissist's leverage. So what I mean by that is if the narcissist is a parent, say you're an adult, say you're 25 years old, and you are, every time you go home, you're hearing things about how you're not enough. You're not a good mom. You're not a good wife. You're not a good husband. You're a disappointment to us because you don't spend enough time with us, and we're your parents and we've sacrificed so much for you. It's really hard to set boundaries with them if they're paying your bills. So neutralize the leverage. If you're a stay-at-home mom and your husband's a narcissist and he has control of all the money and you can't go and take care of yourself, figure out how to start becoming financially independent if you need to be, because it neutralizes the leverage. And then the biggest danger for living with a narcissist, and I'm cutting this down even more than I thought I would because we are already 8:25 and I want to give you guys time for questions, is a broken heart. because you want to connect so much with you want to connect with your spouse. You guys were created for connection. You were made to connect. And when you're with somebody who's narcissistic, they can't reach you on that level. And so if you don't figure out how to deal in this situation, in this world, in a way that gives you that, it's going to be lonely. So that's that, and the loss of your self-esteem. Those are the two biggest dangerous points of living with a narcissist. You know what? We've been doing this 30 minutes, and I think you guys are going to get tired and bored. So maybe we need to break this up into 2 parts after all. Let me just recap what we've done, and then I'm going to give you guys a chance to ask some questions. So we talked a little bit about what a narcissist is, that it's on a scale, that there's healthy narcissism and unhealthy narcissism, that anything above an 8 is really toxic and you got to watch out for those people. They're also very unlikely to change. And anything below a 3 or a below is also very unhealthy. Did you guys know the book, The Giving Tree? Does anybody know that book? Everybody tells me they love that book. I hate that book. And the reason I hate the book, let me just recap it real quick. So there's a tree, and a boy and the tree love each other. And the boy comes and visits the tree. And then the boy gets a little bit older and he starts to want things from the tree. So he takes apples, and then he takes branches, and then he takes the leaves, and then he takes, and by the end of the book, the boy's an old man and the tree is nothing but a stump. And people tell me that's love. That's the love of a parent to a child. And I'm like, yuck, yuck. If that tree really loved that child, he'd give him a few apples and say, here's enough to get you started. Go take care of yourself, have your own life. And then both of them are healthy. That's a healthy relationship. That is what a 5 looks like, where the tree has enough self-respect and love that it doesn't just let itself be decimated for someone else. Does that make sense? I probably lost half of you right there because that's such a popular book and nobody wants to hear anything negative about it. But I hate that book. And so that is the different levels of narcissism and what's healthy and unhealthy. The tree is not healthy because it gave up everything for the boy. And the boy isn't healthy because he's a narcissistic jerk. So they're both unhealthy. So we talked a little bit about the behaviors that you see that kind of help you see what narcissism is in someone else. And there's some good traits to narcissism and some bad traits. And what else did we talk about? I feel like I've been talking a lot. My throat's getting kind of sore. How to protect yourself. And so we talked about one aspect of protecting yourself, and that's protection. And there's one other aspect. I went through those things, but let me just tell you another real quick, and let me give you a little one, and we'll talk more about it last week because I don't want to leave you hanging on this one. But this is hard. When you've been in a relationship and you've really been criticized a lot, finding your softest feelings of vulnerability for that person and then letting them know how you feel about them. And what that does is you're teaching the narcissist empathy. Now, guys, I'm not talking about people on the 8, 9, and 10 of the scale. I'm talking about the people at the 6, 7, 8. But not the 9 and 10, okay? And those are the people that you can try to put your soft feelings out there and let them know how you feel about them, because it makes them feel special, but they're feeling special through connection, which is where we want to feel special in our soothing and being with someone and getting our love from appropriate places. So, all right. Let me take some seeds and build your own tree. Yes, that's a healthy tree. That's a healthy tree. Okay, guys, I'm yours. Ask me some questions. We've been doing it for 30 minutes, and I am going to, let me just plug this real quick because we're going to meet again. I'm going to do the next part 2, Facebook Live on December the 12th. Same time, same place, 8:00 p.m. And I'll give you the rest of the narcissism story. There's just too much. There's just so much information here. So write your questions. Let me see. I will start here. Do what? Look at Angela. can find her. Oh, Angela Mills. I'm amazed often about how my husband doesn't see the basic right and wrong things to do and say. Not sure if that's narcissism or just difference in values and morals. That's a really good point. I don't know your husband, so I'd have to spend some time with him. And that could be a lot of things. Like people who have autism or a little bit on the autistic spectrum, they often don't see the basic right and wrong things to do and say either. And narcissism, interesting enough, autism is a lot like let me say it again. Autism is a lot like narcissism in that it's a spectrum. And so MIT graduates really good at math are higher on the autism scale than like maybe I am. But that doesn't mean they're, full-blown autistic. So maybe he's got some of that. Maybe he's got some narcissism. I don't know, but it's worth, looking into a little bit. Examples for sharing vulnerability in an effort to teach it empathy. Whitney, that is what I'm dying to get to, but I've got this marketing person sitting here who's going, you cannot do a 2-hour Facebook Live. So come back in 2 weeks and I will do that. And then blame Louie. Sorry, Louie. I'm co-parenting and our arguing has reached an unhealthy level. I need help navigating through arguments the right way. Yeah, those co-parenting with narcissists, man, that is tough because what you don't want is the kids to suffer. It's not their fault. They have a parent who is a narcissist. And so what I would want to know, Angela, is what are your arguments about? What makes them reach an unhealthy level? If you're participating in that, so here's what I'm just going to make this up because I don't know you and I don't know the situation, but I know me, and I know that when I get mad, I kind of join in the chaos. I join the circus. And so no matter how much your partner, your ex-partner, your co-partner, co-parenting partner might escalate things, it's really important for you not to allow that to happen. And so you keep your voice low and slow. You can disagree without having to convince him to agree with you, right? If he gets abusive, and what that might look like is, he starts to call you names or he starts to criticize your parenting. I might say, hey, this conversation's over. I'm happy to have this conversation with you and you can talk to me respectably. But until then, see ya, and end it. But I wish I had more information. I don't know how else to answer that. I have learned to use the word no. Linda, good for you, because no is important. Boundaries are important with narcissists. You have a healthy tree behind you. I do have a healthy tree behind me. I do. Thanks, Nick. Whitney, I'll tune in. Thank you. 2 weeks, Chris. Yes, 2 weeks. Thank you. How do I start over at the beginning of the video? I don't know, Ed. I think we have to wait till we're done and then you go back to watch it. But it'll be there. And we're also going to put it on our site at themarriageplace.com and YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. I always thought my husband was Asperger's, but I think it's narcissism. It might be narcissism. And so they kind of look alike because they both struggle with empathy, right? The difference is an Asperger's person doesn't crave the feeling of being special. So they're not becoming the hero of every story. A narcissist, they want all the admiration, they want all the attention, and they'll want it at the expense of you. And so that might be the differentiating factor. Is narcissism something that is hereditary? Only because it's environmental. It's not genetic. You're not born a narcissist, but you're raised to be a narcissist. And it's usually an attachment wound, what we call attachment injury. Narcissists are people who were raised in households where there was a lot of chaos and a lot of criticism, or the opposite. These people were praised only for when they achieved and accomplished. So they were made to feel losers, or they were made to feel the family hero or the family zero is what we call it. So both of those dynamics can create a narcissist. Basically, narcissists create narcissists. Judy says, lovable in the beginning, but now no love besides holding hands. Says he now wants to live alone, but remain friends and be there for him. Don't understand. Yeah. So remember I said in this video that they can put you on a pedestal until you fall off, and somehow it sounds like you've fallen off. Sorry, guys, I got a sore throat now. Co-parenting strategy I've learned is gray rock. Huh, never heard that one. Don't know what that term is. How do I keep quiet when my husband constantly puts me down? He keeps pushing my buttons till I speak up. I keep quiet. My husband constantly puts me down. We're going to talk about that in 2 weeks. I've got an exact exercise for that, Janelle. I know you. Sorry, it's just it's going to take me probably 10 minutes to explain it, but it's good. So come back in 2 weeks. Angela, an example would be he flirts with other women in front of me, even though I tell him it bothers me. He insists it shouldn't bother me because he would never follow through with anything. I hear that one a lot. That's kind of part of our next one too. I hate this. I feel like I've just kind of, there's still so much you guys want to know, and there's so much I want to teach you. No love, or too much love. False. That's right. Yes, gray rock, the need your energy. Okay, so people know about gray rock. How come I don't know about gray rock? Do not feed the beast. Okay, so guys, if we didn't answer your question, I will write them down, and we will either try to address them in the next one or maybe answer them online a little bit. Maybe we can do that. December 12th at 8 o'clock, and here's what we're going to cover, just so you know. We're going to talk about the other part. Remember I said there's 2 parts to how to survive and thrive in a relationship, and the first part was protection, and the second part is how to make a connection with someone who's a narcissist, or try to. And that process tells you whether or not your narcissist can change or not, because everybody wants to know if they're hopeless or their narcissist can change. And so that process will tell you. Again, what about you is pulls you to a narcissist, and what you can do to avoid that. And then when is it time to go? And how do you go? When is it time to go, and how do you go? And so again, I think that's some good stuff for the next time. This was actually fun. I enjoyed this. Thanks. I'm just hope you guys enjoyed it too. I hope it was really helpful. Again, we have our website at themarriageplace.com. We've got lots of free information there that will help you. We're going to post a blog one a week for the next month on narcissists. So there'll be some more information there, and we'll be back here on December 12th. All right, guys. Oh yeah, and because, at the Marriage Place, we have coaches and counselors. Our coaches work with you over video anywhere in the world. So we've got clients in China and Korea and Canada and London, India. We've got clients everywhere. So no matter where you are, we can work with you. And our counselors are in Dallas for face-to-face, and they'll help you. And I do intensives with people. People fly in and do 1 and 2 day intensives with me. I enjoy that. So you can call our office, the main number. It's listed here on our page, and we will give you the information. All right. Thanks so much, guys. I hope you guys have a good evening, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.